Hi, this is Giles from Accountests, and welcome to the next in our series of Hiring Fast with Confidence. And in this snippet, we're talking about interviewing, which is an area that a lot of accounting firms struggle with, don't have a lot of competencies in, and therefore don't use it to its maximum benefit. So how do we get the most out of our interviews? First thing is that we are doing competency-based interviews. So this is where we're asking questions of the candidate based on the behaviours that are important in the role. If unstructured interviews, so those where a competency-based framework are not used, what the evidence says is that the chance of successfully hiring the right candidate is no better than chance if you don't use a good process. So and you end up often simply comparing the candidate with the incumbent, and that's not helpful when you're trying to assess whether this person has the best competencies for the role. The interview setting, obviously a lot of those are now remote. It doesn't matter, is the short answer. It can be in a cafe, it can be in a formal interview room or online. What's more important though is the process that you're using. So 3 interviewers is probably the ideal number. If you don't have somebody on that panel who has strong interview experience, bring somebody in. I've been involved in interviews where we've brought in an expert interviewer, and it does make a big difference to the process. But for the others involved in the interview, they should have a strong understanding of the role that you're hiring for. So what is competency-based interviewing? You'll all have heard about the adage that the best indicator of future behaviour is past behaviour, and that's absolutely true. So what we're trying to do here is engage the candidate in a discussion around their past behaviours to understand how that's going to look for the role that you've got. So questions that start off, tell me about a time when whatever, and you'll be familiar with those sorts of questions. But these are the sort of the 5 areas there that competency-based interviewing is trying to cover. So and there's some really good information in our guide that you can look at, which gives you some example questions under each of these areas. So individual would be things like ethics and integrity. Managerial is leadership, project management. Analytical is problem solving, decision making, attention to detail. Interpersonal would be social competence and team working. And motivational is about the candidate's resilience, drive, and initiative. So those are all really, really key areas, and good questions can help you work out what the candidate's capabilities are under each of those. Lastly, make sure you've got a timetable. For example, for a half-hour interview, 4 to 6 questions is enough. So make sure that you've got it set out correctly, that you describe the role and the organisation at the beginning, complete the competency-based interview questions before asking the candidate if they've got any questions. Make sure you take notes and assign ratings to the different competencies that you're looking at. Again, our guide helps you work out what those ratings might look like, but essentially you're trying to find out give a rating to whether they've met the expectations of the role or haven't provided any evidence of that. And always make sure there's time for the interview panel to review the results of the interview before going into the next one. because it's very difficult to do those at the end of a day of interviewing. So hopefully that's useful for the interview part of the process. Again, our guide is very helpful for some further information, and we're now going to move on to the sort of parallel part of this part of the hiring process, which is the testing and assessment piece. So that's coming next.